It's another day and another blood on our roads. 13 people were killed in an accident involving an Accra-Kumasi bus and a cargo truck at Konongo. The early morning accident is just a reflection of the lack of safety on our roads despite numerous interventions. We'll delve deep into the causes of these accidents when we return from our conversation with Ohimene Teria, who's joining us via Zoom now. Ohimene, another bad news on our roads. Tell us how this happened.
Thank you, Aisha. According to the police MTTD, the accident occurred about 10:50 p.m. on Sunday, and it involved three vehicles. The first one is a DAF truck traveling from the Kumasi direction, and another one that was ahead of that particular truck is also an articulated truck, also traveling from the Kumasi direction to Accra, and a Hyundai bus also traveling from Accra direction to Wa. According to the Konongo Divisional MTTD Commander, DSP Ayeboa, he says at about 10:50 p.m., when police were called to the scene, the information that they picked from the ground was that the DAF truck with registration AC 179-21 was apparently traveling from Kumasi direction to Accra, and it was loaded with over 600 bags of fresh pepper. And upon reaching a spot on the Kumasi-Accra highway, specifically between Kumasi and Konongo, there's a sharp curve. The community is called Kwanta. That particular spot is gaining notoriety for road crashes. So the driver of the DAF truck first hit the rail of an articulated truck that was ahead of him. It's a man diesel articulated truck driven by one Idris Suseidu. And in the process, the driver of the DAF truck lost control, veered off onto the other lane of oncoming vehicles, that is those driving from Accra direction to Kumasi, and also rammed into the middle section of that OA. Is actually a Hyundai bus, and it belongs to OA Transport. So in the process, all the passengers seated along that line, 13 of them, and don't forget there were 26 occupants on board, including the driver and the mate. So 13 of them were killed on the spot. So it means that half of the passengers on board the OA Hyundai bus were killed on the spot, and 11 others also sustained injuries. So the injured victims were rushed to the Konongo Udumasi Government Hospital, where they were treated, and 9 of them, as we speak, have been discharged, remaining 2 on admission. With the 2, one has been referred to the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital, and we are told it is actually left with a toddler who is still on admission at the Konongo Udumasi Government Hospital. Both police and the National Road Safety Authority have commissioned investigations into the accident, and my checks from the police indicate that in the last 1 year, the particular spot, that is the curve in that Ohimene Kwanta area, has seen 4 fatal accidents. So what it means that 4 fatal accidents have been recorded in this year alone. So what happened yesterday? Yesterday's accident is the 5th to be recorded on that stretch in the last 1 year. So National Road Safety Commission say they want to investigate in collaboration with the police to find out why that particular stretch is gaining notoriety for road crashes. And beyond that, they also call for the support of both passengers and the motorists. Once you are in a vehicle and probably a driver is driving outside the road traffic approved regulations, then you have to speak up in order to protect lives. And 3 of the drivers involved in this accident, they've been identified as 38-year-old Bayelblisi Madewe. He was in charge of the DAF truck with the registration AC 179-21. And then one Idris Suseidu, who was also in charge of the man diesel articulated truck with registration GW 3569-13, has also been arrested. So 3 of them, including the OA Hyundai commercial bus with registration number GT 5597-19. And we are told one Chere James was in charge. So all these 3 drivers, according to the Konongo Divisional Police MTTD, have been arrested to assist with police investigations.
Imagine that this involves, people who were traveling on the road to meet their families. And have you spoken with families of those who are dead, or have their families identified them yet?
It is too early, because when I spoke to some of the victims, all of them were traveling from Accra to Wa. So the accident happened midway, and it is too early for families of the victims to be trooping to the police station and then the mortuary, for instance, to identify the deceased person who were involved in the accident. For now, the 13 bodies have been deposited at the Stewart Hospital at nearby Yakwe, awaiting family identification and then autopsy. And beyond this, the victims, some of them who survived, I spoke to 2 of them, and the indication they gave me was that, yes, some of them witnessed the accident. They were not asleep. They witnessed the accident, even at the point that the driver of the Hyundai bus tried to save the situation and even drove towards the bush. They could see the DAF truck, running towards that direction. So indication that probably there was something wrong somewhere for the driver to have behaved this way, and they are blaming the driver of the DAF truck for the accident and want police to deal with this driver drastically, in as much as the whole accident, the whole episode was started by him. And it's something that the Konongo Divisional Police Commander, for instance, Chief Superintendent Shaibu Osei, did say that he's actually incensed with what he describes as indiscipline on the part of the drivers applying on that route. He says it's become more of a norm that even drivers, vehicles who are using their approved route, somebody driving carelessly will beckon on and another driver who is using an approved route to leave the road for him because he's overtaking the vehicle ahead of him and all that. And he believes that it's time for police and the MTTD and Road Safety Authority to collaborate to deal with this canker. And he is so unhappy that if you look at the number of people who have died within a twinkle of an eye, 13 people, and comparing it to COVID-19, he says, yes, COVID-19 that we are all afraid of caused some casualties, but this is extreme, and he warns Ghanaians to pay attention to road crashes, especially on the Kumasi-Konongo stretch, which he says has become more or less a death trap. Well, and then beyond this, he also says that police cannot be everywhere. We can't line up police on the stretch. So it behoves on passengers and the drivers to be disciplined. When you're a passenger on board a vehicle and you think that the driver is going overboard, especially speeding and driving recklessly, speak out to protect lives.
Ohiming, do we have any information on those who are injured? Hello, Ohiming.
Yes, like I said earlier, 2 of them are still on admission.
Okay.
And with the 2,
how are they faring?
Yes, they are doing well, except that one of them, who has been referred to the Konvanochi Teaching Hospital, later the information I got was that she's likely to be a policewoman.
Okay.
She is in critical condition. Though I'm not allowed to describe her injury, but she is actually in critical condition, calling for advanced treatment and care.
Okay.
But the other one has to do with a toddler. It's not clear whether the toddler was actually with a parent who lost the life or something. It is not clear, but police say they are monitoring the situation as they call for victims, families of the victims to come over and support police in their investigations.
So the arrests that have been made by the police, who are they? And what role did they play in all of this? Why have they been arrested?
What I do know from my interaction with the police is that anytime there's an accident, per the provisions in the Road Safety Act, that is Act 2004, it requires that drivers, who vehicles are involved in accident are treated as suspects. So in this particular accident, we are looking at 3 suspects. The driver of the DAF truck with registration AC 179-21, whom we are told engineered the whole accident. He was the one carrying over 600 bags of pepper from Kumasi direction to Accra direction. He's been arrested. And then the one in charge of the MAN diesel truck, the one that he actually first hit, the first accident vehicle, after he was hit at the rear, he's been arrested, identified as Idris Stadium. And then the driver of the OA Hyundai bus, identified as Chile James, is also being arrested to assist police in investigations. And before I even left the police station, one of them, the OA driver, was given a medical form to go to the hospital whilst assisting police with their investigations.
Stay on there for me and let's do some analysis on what has happened today. Dr. Chiadakwa is a transport consultant. He joins us via Zoom for this conversation. Kwame Tuahene, who is head of regulation, inspection and compliance at the National Road Safety Authority, also joins via Zoom. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time. But before we come to you, let's take a look at some accident statistics. And I mean, this would lead us into the conversation proper. It's just coming on your screens shortly. And this statistics is there to actually tell us why we are still here and how we need to move from here. But before we get those statistics, let me bring in. Okay, so we have it on your screen. So now we're looking at causes of road traffic crashes in Ghana. And 1, the type of vehicles driven by drivers. 2, drunk driving. And 3, violation of red traffic light signals. So these 3 are causes. And then you look at number 4, changing lane without signaling. And this has caused a lot of accidents on our way. 5, overloading of vehicles. And 6, speeding. So these are some of the causes of our road accidents, and the reason why we are bringing in this is for us to understand the causes so we can move on. Now we look at 2021 accident statistics. In August only, we had a number of cases reported standing at 1,300, number of persons killed 221. That's just in a space of 1 month, August. Number of persons injured 1,298. This is alarming. Now, you look at the deaths per vehicle type, and we are looking at August only. Motorcycle had 93 deaths, commercial vehicles 74, and private vehicles 54. These are the vehicles that were involved in death. The number of persons killed, and we look at the regional distribution. You look at the Greater Accra, and you have 48. Look at Eastern, and you have 34. And then you look at Central, you have 21. Western, you have 8. Ashanti, you have 46, which is coming close to, following Greater Accra, which is the highest. In Volta region, you had 10. In Northern region, you had 5. Upper West region, 7. Upper East region, 7. And then in the Bono region, you have 4. In Bono East, you have 12. Ahafo region, 7. Oti region, 2. And Savannah region, 4. You have Western North, 6. And the Northeast region recording none. So that's a plus for the Northeast region for not recording any accident. But look at 2021 accident statistics from January to August. And you look at the number of cases reported standing at 10,820. Number of persons killed, 1,927. Number of persons injured, 10,597, almost 11,000. Let's look at the regional distribution again. Number of persons killed from January to August. So you look at Greater Accra again, and it is topping the list, 439. This is just half of the year. Now, Eastern region, 313. Central Region 140, Western Region 75, Ashanti Region coming closer to Greater Accra with 403, Volta Region 78, Northern Region 44, Upper West 31, Upper East 72, and the Bono Region has 59, and Bono East standing at 88, Ahafo Region 51, Oti Region 15, Savannah almost 70, Western North almost 50, and Northeast at 5. So, I mean, between January and August, you have 5. So I think the Northeast region is the lowest when you're talking about persons killed in accidents, with Greater Accra topping, followed closely by the Ashanti region, and then the Eastern region follows. Then you follow it up with the Central region. This is why we need to have a conversation. I'll start with you, Dr. Achiabekwem. I want you to tell me, I mean, you deal with drivers, you deal with, they tell you what they see on the roads. Basically, what do the drivers tell you are the reasons that they are almost always involved in accidents?
Yeah, thank you, Aisha. And I'm greetings to our listeners and viewers. It's so pathetic, and I send my deep condolences to the family who are having these casualties coming from. But the question you pose straight away, the drivers, when they're training them, what they indicate is what you use to even to train them. Mostly is their attitude and the behavior on the road. It's the big attitude and behavior. And the fact is, when you talk about attitude and behavior, like the one that happened, if a driver is making a wrongful overtaking, and there's the one that has happened where we have 30 people died and then 11 people sustained various degrees of injuries, you can see clearly that the car that was carrying pepper, which is the DAF, okay, the DAF, the bad diesel was slow moving vehicle. When you look at the number, with the number place 13, that means that it was moving at a very slow pace, and then the DAF, which is so new, 21, the number is registered only this year. It's so new, so it went fast, and it's also much overloaded. Look at the quantity of paper that we are talking about. Okay, now he was overtaken wrongfully and then hit the side of the truck, leading to all these casualties. What does it learn? The driver failed to uphold the principle of safe overtaking. He was overtaken wrongly. And when we do proper analysis, you can see that when drivers are trained, they train them into how to do proper overtaking to avoid all crashes. But there's one thing all of us are looking should not forget is that when the COVID started from 2020, driver training has stopped.
Okay.
Training is not going on. But if we are talking about drivers' attitude and drivers' behavior, the only thing that can help correct it is training and education. But now, 2 years down the line, all companies do not train their drivers. Commercial drivers are not training their drivers. Private drivers are not training their drivers. So I am saying, looking at the way things are going, we should have means of trying to start the training of the drivers to try to solve this problem. As from September, or that's October to December, I cannot predict what is going to happen. And looking at we are just in August and we are quoting 1,927 deaths on our road is so serious. So if you don't do something now, National Road Safety Authority should come in, should give us access or the COVID protocols to be assured by driver trainers so that we would increase the training of drivers and to solve this problem, else I'm afraid.
Thankfully, Kwame Etuahene, who is with the National Road Safety Commission, is also here with us. Mr. Etuahene, we've done this too many times, and it's beginning to look like a boring topic, but lives are involved. I mean, why are our roads still bloody? Mr. Etuahene, kindly unmute for me, Mr. Etuahene.
Yes, good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity. I would want to extend my regards to Dr. Achiabekwem and my brother Ohemi, whom I've not seen in a long while.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that the issues that are raised by Dr. Are fairly within the discussion of present. That when you acquire a driver's license and you opt to come into the commercial environment, the basic training you acquire may not be enough to sustain you. And we've been having a discussion around the subject matter on how we can either implement existing regulations or perhaps evolve a new regime that would take driver training or continuous professional development of the driver a bit more intense than it is now. Because ultimately, I mean,
Hello,
it is
Mr.
such an important part of the discussion. But having said that, when you listen to all this, that beyond the capacity or competence level of the driver.
All right, I think we are having a terrible connection with Mr. Tuahine's line. We'll try and bring him back because he plays a very critical role. The National Road Safety Authority plays a very important role if these carnages must end on our roads. Do we have Mr. Tuahine back? All right, so Dr. Achia, I mean, you've enumerated the things that really need to be addressed. Okay, so let's hear from Mr. Tuahine. He's back on the line.
As I was making a point that I want to agree with Dr. Chadakwa, that we need to all reflect and also evolve a more intense education program, continuous education program for these drivers. You see, everywhere. I mean, once you opt to take to driving as a profession, the basic training that secures your license to drive may not be enough, especially when you decide to come into the road environment. I mean, the transport environment for commercial purposes. And that we concede. And Dr. may take notice that in recent times we've been having some discussion along that path, how we can improve upon the continuous profile of drivers who opt for commercial services. And not too long ago, together with our colleagues at DVLA, we've been going around the country to try to ensure implementation of regulations 122, 123 of the road traffic regulations. But having said that, we may not also be able to have this discussion without having regard to some of the concerns that were raised by Ohemi, which is that at the particular spot between the Kumasi-Accra stretch, if these incidents appear to happen at a certain frequency, then of course we must, the investigation coming up in the instance of the authority will be very much in trying to determine what exactly are the issues on that particular stretch. But otherwise, based on the preliminary information we have, I mean, if some of the drivers had acted properly, if they had conducted themselves professionally in the way they approach their task of driving, maybe we'll not be having this discussion this afternoon. So the investigative authority is to try to help understand exactly what occurred. And if these turn out to be drivers who belong to organized institutions who have a responsibility in ensuring that their drivers are properly trained, well behaved when they come into them.
All right, so that's Mr. Tuahine, who's with the...
You can be certain that...
Right, let me bring in Dr. Achadakwa here. Dr. Achadakwa, I mean, we all agree that people must play certain roles so that we can ensure that the carnages end on our roads. What's the role of car owners, transport consultants like you? I mean, I know you also own vehicles that ply our roads. What's the role that you play in ensuring that this goal is achieved?
Thank you very much for a very brilliant question. You know, one of the problems we are encountering driver education and training in this country is the involvement of vehicle owners. They have to take interest in vehicle driver training. They have to show interest. Even they have to even help the National Road Safety Authority to even come out to push them up and also to go in line with what the law says. You know, the law even says before you even drive a commercial vehicle or your own vehicle, that when you have to go and go to a road training and then get a certificate of competence, then the DVLA will go ahead and license you or renew your license. Okay, so the owners do not like training because it may involve some pertinent, some little payment of fees, because it will be a third-party company that will be training the drivers. But the car owners, the vehicle owners, especially the vehicle owners, they don't like training their drivers at all. You see what happened? It's a car. They're all cargo vehicles, and then the OA is a coach. But let's ask ourselves, if the drivers are available, let's ask them, when was the last time they were trained? When was the last time the masters of the vehicles, the owners of vehicles, try to allow them or to organize training for them? They don't. And then the COVID too has compounded the problem. In most cases, with most of the commercial vehicles, unless someone also sponsors them before they will go and do driver training, they are not going to do driver training in their own evolution. But this one must be done compulsory. I'll bring it to National Road Safety Authority to make sure that they have some form of enforcement on driver education, such that any driver who drives any vehicle after going through the training will be given a certain certificate of competence. Then the police or the MTTD or the National Road Safety Authority will just observe them, look at them whilst they are driving on the road to check. If a driver had not gone through training for about 6 months to 1 year, they should not let the driver drive any vehicle on our road. They are killing. Lack of education as a serious cause of what? The killings on our road.
So, Mr. Twahine, what new strategies do you intend to adopt as a National Road Safety Authority, especially with the new laws that has elevated you to an authority? What do you intend to do, I mean, in terms of new strategies to deal with this menace?
Yeah, so like Doctor said, I think we are taking mandatory, compulsory refresher education of commercial drivers serious. And like I indicated much earlier, together with our friends at the Driver and Vehicle License Authority, we are working together to ensure that by hopefully by the end of the year, we will begin to enforce or implement that part of our existing regulations. It's been part of the regime for some time, but each time you attempt to implement, there are a bit of concern. So over the last 2 to 3 months, what we have done is to put our heads together and try to engage the key stakeholders, being the transport operators across country, before we can roll out. It is just unfortunate that was discussion is pending. We've had to record this unfortunate incident. But otherwise, the issues raised by Dr. Achadakwa are well noted. We need to, these drivers do not often take it, they do not often make themselves available for driver training. But with the opportunity we have as a regulator, we need to figure out a way to compel them and possibly tie their continuous service to evidence of this training, so that they can avail themselves for these continuous training. Because on the evidence of what we have seen, and a few of the instances have occurred in recent times, if these drivers have been exposed or were exposed to some continuous training, most of these crashes are avoidable. And that's where we are. And would ask for a little bit of time. But as I indicated, some discussion is already at play to try to make the continuous driver training program a core operational concern as far as transport operations are concerned.
For gentlemen, for your time. Kwame Tuahene is head of regulations, inspection and compliance at the National Road Safety Authority. Dr. Achia Dakwa is a transport consultant. I'm extremely grateful for your time this afternoon. Ohime, if you're still there, what has a police investigation gathered so far with regards to the cause of the accident?
Yes, according to police, the suspect, either the driver of the DAF vehicle truck, was tired, or he was in a rush to overtake the truck ahead of him. So they suspect it could be wrongful overtaking and fatigue driving. So these are the two main reasons that police preliminary investigations have established as far as the cause of the Konongo Ohine Nkwanta accident is concerned.
All right. What more can you tell us with regards to that one?
Yes, police believe that if you look at the spots where the accident did occur, the indication is that many a time the trucks that carry, for instance, fresh pepper, they are always in a hurry to send the produce to the port because they want to maintain the freshness of the produce. They are always in a rush to send the produce to the port for export. And there are instances where even those who are carrying the produce have been involved in accident on the stretch. And so they are not ruling out the fact that the driver could be in a hurry and decided to engage in that wrongful overtaking in that sharp curve. And secondly, they suspect that it could be that the driver was so tired particular highway, and that could also be a factor. So police say they are not ruling out these two factors as far as their investigations are concerned. And they have already spoken to some of the survived victims. These are victims who were in the bus, and then there were others who were also on board these trucks. And I'm told there was a gentleman who was actually in a Pathfinder vehicle behind the truck. He's also, giving some support in the form of information to police so that this will aid police investigations into the Ohine Nkwanta accident.
The man on the ground, and he'll be telling us more as it unfolds. We'll be getting updates for you. But the road accident conversation is one that we'll keep having until our roads are sane. We'll take a break on the polls. You can join also via all our social media handles on JoyNews on TV. You can tweet at us also at the hashtag The Pulse. We'll take a break. We're back with more. When we return, actually, the families of Ibrahim Anyas Mohammed, popularly known as Kaka, and Abdul Nasser Yusuf, have jointly rejected the report of the committee. We have details for you after this break.